Welcome to Spoiler Alert, where we talk about and spoil the shows you're obsessed with. This week we'll weigh in on the killer Walking Dead finale, preview the return of Mad Men, give you a graphic first look at the Big Bones birth, and special guest Jeremy Sisto spoils the Suburgatory finale. I'm your host, Michael Ausiello, joined by my colleague, Mr. Mitovich. How are you?
I'm good.
Walking Dead finale.
Yes.
Kind of an awesome hour of television.
It was like a video game, that first act.
I was like watching it and just seeing dollar signs. That had to have been an expensive 15 minutes of television.
It was just like bam, bam, pow, pow. I know some people were critiquing, that everybody was getting in a good, easy kill shot. I'll grant them that, because it made for good TV. One
of the high points of the episode for me was Rick sort of growing a pair, finally stepping up and taking command.
This isn't a democracy anymore.
And it was kind of scary. His son was like, you could see him like, oh my God, what happened to my father?
But what was with Lori like reeling? Because they showed her physically reeling from Rick's confession that he killed Shane. And it's partly Rick's fault because he buried the lead, that he was being led to slaughter. He totally buried that.
Yeah.
But they showed her like retracting from him, like she was horrified.
I talked to Robert Kirkman about that because I was surprised too, because she basically told him, you have to kill Shane. He's out of control. So to have that kind of severe reaction, I think it was just, as Kirkman said, the reality that it actually happened.
True.
And that Rick was the one who did it. I think it all was kind of shocking, but the backlash online, and she already had her detractors, that character, and I don't think that episode did her any favors.
But then we were bounded by that by having two big reveals towards the end of the episode.
Yes, Michonne, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Michonne.
Which was just a spectacularly creepy.
Yeah, because I was wondering, like, how's Andrew going to get out of this? That was the absolute last person I expected to see show up.
And the role was cast, Denai Guerrera. I'm not familiar with her work from Treme.
Some more well-known names had been bandied about, like Rutina Wesley, but I kind of like the idea that they're going with someone who's a little bit more unknown.
Yeah, to hire someone like Rutina Wesley coming off of True Blood, who's so identified with that character, I think it would have been a mistake. Bring someone in who has no baggage, no one has any set expectations about the actress. Obviously there are huge expectations about the character.
And good for them sneaking this in, which they were able to do because they hadn't actually cast the role. That wasn't actually, the actress playing Michonne there.
Right.
So basically the only people who knew that the character was going to show up was Laurie Holden and whoever was on set for that sequence.
Right.
And then there was the second reveal of the prison. If you follow the comic books, the prison's looming out there somewhere.
Right.
But this basically said, you know what? Season 3, we're going there. The whole catch-22 of the prison is, yes, it's fortified up the wazoo for the people, but you have to remember, any existing survivors who are already there, what are they most likely going to be? Criminals.
Right.
So it's not exactly the group of strangers you're going to want to hang out with.
So it's a big couple weeks for AMC. They just had the Walking Dead finale, and finally Mad Men is returning this Sunday.
Are we allowed to say that Mad Men's returning? Is that a spoiler?
I think we can get away with that.
Okay.
And our West Coast correspondent Megan Masters actually hit up the Mad Men premiere in Hollywood, and not surprisingly, the cast was pretty loose-lipped about the upcoming episodes.
We have to be really tight-lipped.
I'm sure they gave up something, though.
Well, let's check it out. Let's see.
It's certainly different from season 4, as it should be. The people have gone through what they've gone through in the previous seasons, and they're different people, essentially.
Reminiscent of the first season, I would say, in a really smart way. It's sort of informed by all the 4 years that we've seen these characters, and you find things out that you didn't think you knew, and there's some really good surprises.
Last season, the theme was, the very first line is, who is Don Draper? That was the very first line of it, and that's what that whole season was about. This one has a theme. I think Matt's articulated it as being everyone for themselves. There's a sense of a lot of sharp elbows and people scrambling.
That's sort of what's interesting about this season is you getting into that sort of iconic period of the late 60s, and who changes and who doesn't is what's interesting about this season particularly.
It was exciting. It was very exciting. I had a wonderful time doing it. I learned a lot, and it was really neat seeing the show from a completely different perspective, and seeing many of the aspects of the show that I thought I knew how they worked and knew how it all worked. When you step behind and you see it from a different perspective, sometimes you realize how little you know.
Are you guys done shooting?
We are.
So what do you have going on? Anything?
School.
Yeah, school. What grade?
Oh man, Matt Weiner is going to be pissed at that cast.
I feel like I know all of season 5 now and 6.
We actually were lucky enough to watch the episode in advance. I was underwhelmed.
Why?
I felt like it was still the Mad Men that I knew and loved, but it just felt like something was missing.
Well, there wasn't like a big catalyst for this return. They kind of just threw you back in there saying, you know what? It's just another day in the life of these people. There's not going to be any big hook. There's a couple of things that are just a little bit jarring. Someone's at a different point in life. Someone's, considering a bit of adultery.
Maybe
someone's living somewhere new. But then soon, then you get your bearings, you realize how much time has passed roughly.
Maybe part of the problem was the 2-hour time length. I think an hour of Mad Men is great, but 2 hours, You know, it's such a quiet show and it moves, you know, rather slowly, which is fine. And one of the things I love about it, but for a 2-hour stretch, I don't know, it felt like it was a little long in the tooth.
True to form with our show, it's a slow burn, but it does in fact catch fire.
There's also a really crazy scene towards the end of the episode, which
that's what everyone's going to be talking about.
Yeah, that's what everybody's going to be talking about on Monday morning.
We had a special guest drop by a couple days ago, Jeremy Sisto from Suburgatory. That show is probably one of my new favorite shows, at least one of my favorite shows of the new season. Anyway, he had some really interesting things to say about the arrival of Alicia Silverstone, his former Clueless co-star, and also dropped a big scoop about the finale. Let's check it out. Congratulations on the success of Suburgatory. I imagine coming off of doing so many dramas back to back that it's just got to be like, this is just fun.
Yeah, I'm just surrounded by such funny people and such funny characters and great. I really like the writing.
You want to be independent? Well, independent people pay for their own things, so why don't you save up and buy yourself some wheels?
Fine, I will.
Get a job.
I will.
And what's the relationship like off camera with you and Jane? Is it sort of a father-daughter kind of thing?
I feel very protective of her, and actually for a little while, at a certain point, my wife had to be like, all right, it's a little strange now how you actually think she's your daughter, you know? And I'd be looking at her and say, oh, isn't she cute, you know? Talking to my wife feel like, she's not our kid, you know? So I had to pull away a little bit.
You gonna dry it?
That is what the rack is for, you dictator!
A dictator would not use American.
The dynamic between George and Dallas. I don't know initially when I started first watching the show that I ever thought those two would make a good pair, but the more I see it going in, it seems like that's the direction the show is going in.
Yeah.
Can you say anything about where these last batch of episodes of the season, where it sort of takes them as a twosome?
You know, it's fairly kind of vacillates in the same sort of little area because Alicia Silverstone comes on and plays this character that I start having a romance with, and we move very quickly because I think I'm kind of freaking out that my daughter needs a mother figure suddenly, and this one seems like a positive role model, so we moved at an accelerated pace, and so that puts me and Dallas on the back burner.
And how was it working with Miss Silverstone again?
Great.
Yeah.
When we were young, we met in a movie called Hideaway and had like kind of a romantic feel for each other, but we were both in relationships, so we didn't do anything, and then we became friends, and then we did Clueless together, and then we kind of drifted apart, and we're both like saying, like, remember that time I said that thing? I really felt weird about that. I didn't mean to say, you know, this is like 15, 20, I don't even know how long later. It's been nice reconnecting, and so personally it's been fun, and I think for the show and for Clueless viewers.
Any nods in any of the episodes? Can you give me an example?
But, you know, just little line nods, you know, just little,
rolling with
pretty
the
subtle. We didn't do any rolling with the suck. We did a little suck and blow.
Okay.
Just little things, and we played against them completely. In fact, one of the nods, we did the scene, and it was on her last take, Alicia's last take, where she's like, oh, I just got that we were doing a nod to the movie.
The episode that aired most recently sort of teased the arrival of the mother.
That's the soul-crushing poem Tessa wrote about the giant festering hole inside her caused by the absence of her mother.
That's not good.
Are we going to see her before the end of the season?
It's kind of the cliffhanger.
Okay.
But I don't even know if we actually see her or if the end of the season, you know, they kind of did the end of the season in a mysterious way because I don't think they knew exactly who they were going to get and how they wanted to introduce her.
Right.
So it'll be a surprise for me too.
And that's interesting about the mother.
Yeah.
Because I had heard that they were going to introduce her this season, and now, you know, it seems like they're really waiting for season 2 to introduce her, which I think is smart. You know, I think that's a big storyline. You don't want to throw it into May sweeps for a couple episodes and then tie it up. You know, take your time with it. Cast the right actress.
Right, after pilot season shakes out, you know exactly who you've got available, and then they can really get somebody great for the part.
Bones finally returning on April 2nd.
Very fun episode.
It's the birth episode, no spoiler there, everyone knows. Booth and Brennan, you know, they welcome their daughter into the world. And I have to give props to Emily Deschanel, who is just hilarious in the episode. You know, we've seen the crazy birth scene on TV a million times before, but I still found it so humorous, you know, and the way she was just screaming at Booth, you could tell they were having a good time.
I've been a fan of the storyline all season long.
Yeah.
You know, I know that some people are quibbling that we skipped the whole courtship phase of them getting together, but just having them thrust into this new role as prospective parents, and, you know, him being overly protective and her being in denial about certain things and her hormones and stuff, it's been a lot of fun.
I can see the bones, Booth, the bones of the house. It's going to be wonderful.
Speaking of which, an exciting moment here at Spoiler Alert. we are going to unveil an exclusive first look at the actual birth scene never seen before.
With Emily Deschanel and David Boreanaz?
No.
No.
There's the twist. We have two Shakespearean-trained actors who came in to pre-enact the big birth scene in spoiler alert theater.
Not reenact it.
No,
but
pre-enact it. I just made up a new word. Let's check it out.
I'm so sorry, Bones.
Why?
Look where we are. I should have been able to make it to the hospital.
It's not your fault. This is the perfect place. It's the perfect place. And children who grow up on farms develop fewer allergies and respiratory issues.
It's hard not to believe in a higher power when you just got turned away from the inn and you are about to give birth in a manger.
Look, I just want to push.
Oh, okay. Easy. Hold on. Okay, let's just take a peek at what's going on under here. Whoa! Whoa!
Ah!
Where is that baby?
It's up higher. Ah!
Oh, look!
Oh my God. Hi. There is mystery to life. She's beautiful.
And she's perfectly clothed out of the womb.
Wow, a little too graphic. I think I saw a little placenta. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. Now we're gonna make some small talk while the credits roll.